Good evening and welcome to Chelsea Factory. If you need to use the restroom during the show, please head to the lobby through the way you came in. For the safety of our artists, please wear your mask at all times. Now, let's give a round of applause for the creators of AFRO TECHNO Frequency, powered by Tech Afrique, a film by Chelsea Odufu, original electronic compositions by Eli Fola, and a string trio led by Matthew Jamal, featuring violinist Miles Giddens and Octavia Sidnor. A round of applause.
Parents carried a certain pain and a certain trauma with them that they weren't able to work through that didn't necessarily just belong to them. And that's something that I've learned, through my own healing process, is that this is an ancestral healing. Like this doesn't just stop with me. Like I'm carrying things inside of me that generations of women and men before me went through. I'm carrying, generations of abuse. I'm carrying generations of rape. I'm carrying generations of, not being able to get a job and being stressed and
when I first came to the States, my mentality definitely shifted a lot. It took a lot of adapting to just, look at my blackness in a different light. So when I came here, I felt like it almost, I had to force myself to adapt to a new way of thinking about race and about identity. it was almost leaving everything that I've learned about, being, the person that I am and being proud of, my heritage and being proud of my culture, to now having to feel like I have to fit in a box where it's like, okay, now I have to accept all of these different limitations and all of these different things just because of my skin.
Struggle is something that I heal from. I feel like it's a part of a trauma that lives within your body. And when we start to talk about those moments, things start shifting.
My home life was much more turbulent and less serene. I was very, very cold. He had this really cold disposition. And so I didn't display a lot of emotion during those times, even though I was very much filled with emotion, I think I carry some of the traumas of my ancestors. I feel like I can feel it sometimes.
I was made fun of a lot for having an accent, for my, skin being a little bit more melanated. So I was constantly the butt of a joke, and I didn't necessarily understand why, especially because the jokes were coming from people who were maybe a shade or two lighter than me. So it was very confusing. I had this idea that I had to be just going through life and, even if things are not perfect, even if things are not going the way that I intended for them to go, I still just going through it and acting like everything is fine, And what that did for me, or did to me at least, was it made me feel alone,
I remember coming home from school one time. It was Thanksgiving, and it was this man passed out for 30 minutes across the street. Niggas walking past him, and I'm like, people are across the street kind of looking, but nobody's really doing shit. And I'm in my mind, I'm what the hell? This man literally is dead, and it's so normal in our community to see people dying and death and all of this shit, that although there's a man on Thanksgiving night or Thanksgiving Eve, right, laying there dead in the cold, right, nobody's moving to call the cops, nobody's moving to see if this man is okay.
I want to see you get up on the floor and let them people that they talking about their taxes are paying your bills. Yeah. Baby, I had it up to here. When they call and ask me what they taxes paying for my children. I don't like that doggone jump. You sit there, don't jump up and run and tell me I'm going home now. Stay here and let this man know that you don't like what happened.
My dad left. I was sad. I was definitely sad. He left on my birthday. He handed me the $10. It might have been $5, and he left. So I spent a couple years in La La Land, things happening, things wild, crazy happening, and me just brushing it off.
Over time, I think as a teenager, I definitely didn't have the words for it, but I used to really deal with heavy depression, but I would never like to admit that to people or to anybody because, you see your mother being so strong, you want to just be strong like her and not admit any of your emotions. So
home life was much more turbulent and less serene. I was very, very cold. He had this really cold disposition. And so I didn't display a lot of emotion during those times, even though I was very much filled with emotion. You know, as an adult, I realized that that was just a tactic for survival, suppressing all of that emotion. Coming into awareness of how those patterns were put in place just to survive, it's created a lot of space for just growth, forgiveness, empathy for both my mother and father, because I realized that they are, you know, having their own human experience, or souls having their own human experience. I realized that they did the absolute best that they could. I realized that they were stuck in their own programming and their own patterns.
I want to say I don't hold grudges, but I do. You know what I'm saying? Especially if I feel like people have wronged me. I don't know. I've found coping mechanisms, I guess, for the things that I know in life will be difficult.
And then I started getting to an age, and I started having experiences where I'm like, oh, this has to do with my childhood. Like, I'm like, oh, this is coming out.
You know, those moments, I think my parents didn't have it. They didn't have the fun for me to have the lifestyle that other people were having, because we were struggling. And I think that I feel like your brain is not functional to understand that your mom and dad are struggling and they don't have no money. That whatever you have to accept it at this moment. At this moment, but then you want more.
My parents were divorced when I was maybe like 5 or something, or really, really young, and I witnessed a lot of domestic violence. So I was always outside playing with my brother, his friends, like that type of vibe. It was a numbing. That's pretty much what it was. Like, I didn't know what was happening at the time. I was in like kid survivor mode. Like, I wasn't aware how it was going to affect me when I got older by suppressing it at a young age. That's hard for me. Like, choosing myself versus other people's joy is like a challenge that I'm continuously going through.
I definitely had to like unlearn people pleasing. Like, that was a tough one. Or just like unlearn like the insecurity of like not being wanted or rejected. Like, I had to unlearn that, like, you know, just the whole victim mentality. Like, everyone wants to leave you. Like, you know, everyone is just like here to go. Like, just that like feeling. You know, when you experience so much abandonment, you carry it. Like, you like you think everyone's trying to do that.
I think I was 27 years old, and I had fallen in love with someone. And I think that when that relationship ended, it scarred me for so long that I didn't thought that I was good enough. I didn't thought that I deserved it. And I realized that it had nothing to do with me. Because the love I was giving this person, they never encountered that. And I wish that the younger me would have understood that.
Like, serious relationship, I think brought a lot of things to light for me. it was really like a spiritual experience because one day I just needed to call this person and tell them that like I couldn't be with them anymore. And it was like a God thing. I told him these words, like, if it's meant to be, like, it will be, but right now I need to go. And he never understood it. It was painful, but all in all, I think it was for the best, and I felt lighter.
But it's like, do you have my best interest at heart? You know, like, if like the city gets raided right now, are we going to be able to protect each other? Are we alive to value? Growing up, my mother was a sex worker, and that was something that I was really embarrassed and ashamed of, but I realized that ultimately the energy that she cultivated doing that work is what allowed me to go out to the work that I do every day as an entertainer. She performed on the stage in the dark so that I could perform on the stage in the light. And so being able to just like transmute that energy and understand that it all adds up and plays a role in who you are today really doesn't leave any room for resentment, even if that was sort of the initial feeling that was taken on in childhood due to the circumstances. I definitely had to grow up really fast. Like, I knew shit wasn't sweet very early. Like, I didn't get to be childish, or, you know, I got to be real mature. I had to not make mistakes. I just felt a lot of pressure, just like pressure.
I had a lot of anger. I had a lot of pent up anger because my mother didn't have the time to like be emotionally available in the way I needed to, you know? So I think in the past 2 years, like thankfully the pandemic helped in a way, like the slowdown of it helped me get to know my mom in a different way and see how much patience I could extend her. And we've gotten closer actually because we've had to do the work together as a family, like to heal.
A police car came around, and a man got up out of the car and said, This was an unlawful assembly, would you please disperse? The people didn't leave, So the police, they got out of their cars and they started beating their heads again. And one of the sisters that was out there was Angela Davis. She got beat that night.
I'm like really kind of numb to this shit. You know what I mean? And I hate to feel like that, but I'm kind of numb. It's like it makes me really just put the battery in my back and what I can do personally. Because I feel like the conversations we've been having have really been, observing it. It's been very in the moment and kind of not like, it's trendy. You know what I mean? It's trendy to feel angry. It's trendy to feel like this. But about to be real, I'm angry about this shit every day.
It's kind of normalized, I would say. It's to the point where it's like, well, this is what we grew up on. It's not anything different outside the norm.
I read in the paper today they made a brother admiral. One brother, they made him an admiral. You understand? They want everybody to get happy. They probably had it on KGFJ this week. The guy started off as a post office clerk, worked his way up after 74 years in the Navy. They made him an admiral. We are making progress. 74
That
years.
is progress. That's what it is.
Progress. I know that progress, man.
Turbulent and less serene. I come from generations of very strong-willed, you know what I mean, no nonsense, but very traumatized, hurt women, very strong women, but strong because they had to be generations of that. I was, talking about my mom and, the shame and the guilt and the embarrassment that I felt around the type of work that she did. It's not like I really necessarily shed that away as much as I transformed it and repurposed it and turned it into something powerful and meaningful for myself. And so, yes, I think there definitely is that peeling away and that shedding, but I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not a loss. There's nothing being removed without something even more expansive and meaningful coming in.
As humans, we all have masks. And I think that when you start shedding, you're able to take that mask off. And you're allowing people to see you. You're allowed to be vulnerable. You're allowed to be open. You're allowed to be calm and consistent in your voice, knowing that, the things that you went through, either they can break you or make you.
Then I feel like so much easier for me to forgive others when they've wronged me because I've been able to forgive myself. It took a long time for me to be able to forgive myself on things that I, thought to myself that I wasn't doing the right way.
Being a dark-skinned Black woman, I had to learn my worth. I'm definitely viewed a certain way. I definitely, it definitely affects things You know, whether you're set aside, you're praised for it, or you're hated for it. Either way, it's an extreme that you automatically feel in every situation. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's extreme. Like, why can't I just come in the room?
Do I feel free? That is a hard question to live in America. Do I feel free? I feel like I get more free as I'm able to create opportunities for other people.
Damn right, I'm hopeful that things are gonna change, and you know, just like with anything, it's when you evolving and you growing up, you don't see every day that you're getting taller. You don't see every day that your hair is growing. You know what I mean? But you wait a few, and you want to see what happens. You want to keep watering that plant like that. You keep nourishing your community. You keep nourishing the people around you. Yeah, you can forget it. You know what I mean? You can forget it. That thing is going to get better.
When you put yourself in a position where you operate on your own ideology and you operate on your own kind of like vibration, it makes it very difficult for anyone to just be able to come and shift that way of thinking for you. I think of what I want to think of, and to me, that's what I look at as freedom. That's what I see as freedom, because you could physically put me in bondage, but I still am able to let my ideas explore and think of the thoughts that I want to think of.
That is a hard question to live in America. It's also free. I feel like I get more free as I'm able to create opportunities for other people.
I never feel free. There's always something.
Free as a bird. I think every morning I have self-reflection too. That I have people in my life that accept me as who I am. And I have a peace of mind. I've made peace with things that have happened to me. I made peace with my struggle. I made peace with things that have come short with, you know.
No, if I'm being honest, no. I don't feel like I'm there yet. I feel like, I'm the freest I've ever been. But there's still a couple things that are like, I feel like weighing me down a little bit. The healing is, it's the expansion. It's like, who would I be if nobody ever imposed any ideas on me, and if I never had to survive? Like, if survival wasn't my main focus, like, who would I be?